Hello, everybody. We are back again for some playoff previews, baby. That's right. I'm back. It's been a while since I've posted, I think, on the YouTube, but glad to be back for the playoff that are starting up next in a couple days here. I know people are really enjoy these previews and the recaps and all that, so they will continue these for these playoffs. I'm only going to be doing NHL playoff previews and all that. I don't. A couple things. I don't have time to do AHL. I also don't know that much about the AHL besides my own affiliate, Coachella Valley. So, if you're looking for AHL content, you're not going to find it here, unfortunately. Hopefully, someone else in the AHL could put something together, but just want to make it clear right now that I will not be doing any kind of AHL stuff, all right? I'm sorry. I just don't have the time or the knowledge to do so. So this is going to be just NHL focused, all right? So if you're new here or you haven't seen any of my previous videos, we always typically go through the matchup comparisons. I have graphics ready to go for those, and we'll go to the Lmshl website. We'll take a look at all of the rosters, stats, talk about my predictions, all that kind of good stuff. So buckle up. This should be a really fun video. If you don't really care about any of the other teams and you want to skip to your team or a series in particular, there will be timestamps in the description, so you can just skip to wherever that team that you're looking for is. We're going to start in the East. But before we get into the graphics and the deep dive into the series, let's just look at the bracket, okay? So starting in the East, in the top left, we have the Eastern Conference best regular season team, the Boston Bruins. They are the number 1 seed. We do it based on like the real life NHL, where division winners play 2 wild cards, and the 2 and 3 seeds in each division will play each other. So Boston was the best in the East, so they play the second wild card in the East, which is Washington. And the 2-3 seeds in the Atlantic, Ottawa versus Detroit. In the Metro side, the best team in the Metro, the Pittsburgh Penguins, they won the division, obviously. They play the first wild card team in Montreal. And then you have Carolina versus Philadelphia in the 2 versus 3. Over in the West, you have the Central winners, the Chicago Blackhawks, taking on the second wild card Dallas Stars. The Central was much better than the Pacific this season. We'll get into that later on. Winnipeg taking on Nashville. That's the Central 2-3 game. And then we get to the Pacific, which was just lovely this season. Anaheim. Yes, the Anaheim Ducks on the final night of the season backdoor the Pacific Division crown, and they win the division, and they'll be taking on the Colorado Avalanche. And the 2-3 series for the Pacific Division is the Vancouver Canucks taking on my Seattle Kraken. All right, so there's your bracket. Some really good matchups. Particularly my favorite matchup that I cannot wait to talk about is Ottawa versus Detroit. That's probably the best series of the round, in my opinion, but we'll get to all of that in a second. So enough of the intro. We're already about 4 minutes in. Let's dive right into the series previews. All right, so we'll get rid of the graphic here. Thank you, bracket. Appreciate it. So let's focus in on the first series here, Boston versus Washington. All right. So one thing to note, I'm sure everyone is aware, each team played all the other teams 3 times this season. So Boston went 2-1 versus Washington. Washington obviously went 1-2. Boston's record was 53-9-1. Washington was 31-27-5. Again, Boston won the Atlantic. Washington finished 4th in the Metro. And for some of the season statistics, Boston with an outstanding 5.35 goals for per game and only giving up 2.7 goals against. Overall, they had a plus 167 goal differential, which is just absurd. For Washington, a bit of a different story. They're at 4.06 goals for per game. Not bad, but a pretty high 4.1 goals against. They were at a -2 goal differential this season. So definitely a tale of two teams in terms of the scoring and the goal prevention. If you look at some of the player leaders here, you have Delusions with 72 goals, 77 assists for 149 points. An outstanding year. Tim on defense. He's been a really good defenseman for them. And Sway/Kochekov. If you can believe it, this is probably a quote-unquote down year for him. A .806 save percentage and a .257 goals against, which is still very good. And he will certainly be in the Vezina conversation. Looking over for Washington, Herb, 60 goals, 73 assists for 133 points this season. Very good numbers there. Sands with a 79.96 defensive rating. I know Namphy also up there for Washington as well on the blue line for them. And in net, they have the Beater 48 with a 7.91 save percentage and a 4.0 goals against. I know a couple other guys they have, Stangs, but he'll probably play out. And we'll take a look at all that stuff too in just a second. So on paper, it's pretty clear that Boston is the better team. They won their division. Washington is obviously a wild card team, so not much. This is to be expected, right? So we'll look now at the rosters and the stats. Okay, we'll dive some more deeper into this. So we'll take a look at Boston first, right? So if we sort by points, we just talked about Delusions, but you have Genzi 95 with 97 points, Tim 93 points. He played a bunch on defense as well. Shrek 92 points, Rhyme 91 points. So these top five guys, man, just unbelievable. You know, you have 5 90-plus point players, and then it's not even that bad. And once you get a little lower, Low X 74 points, Rampy 50 points, Cornish 48 points, Dean 36 points on the blue line, very good. So these guys are locked and loaded, man. This is a really good team. I think these guys are going to have a really deep playoff run. And with Kochekov in the net, 46-7 this season, 9 shutouts. I mean, this guy's just you know exactly what you're gonna get with Kochekov in net. He's such a good player. It's such a deep team with a lot of high-end talent and depth to balance it out. Because remember, you have to play 2 lines, right? So Wednesday night you could have any kind of combination of these top 7 or 8 guys, and then Thursday night you can roll out another combination, and it's just never ending. One big thing that a lot of people can attest to is how physical they are. They have 7 players with over 100 hits. They are such a tough team to play against, and I don't think Washington will be able to really keep up. I think it's going to be a quick series. This Washington team is not as good as some seasons past. They might put up a good fight in a couple of games, but I think Boston will probably blow their doors off, to be honest. So it is a shame for Washington, and we'll take a look at their team. And they got some good players, man. Herb and Dylan. Dylan they acquired from Calgary in the offseason, so he had 89 points in 31 games. Not a bad season. Tech, same thing, 73 points, 29 games. Kessel was 61. There's Olympio with 50 points. Just the problem that I'm having here when I'm looking at these two teams on paper side by side. Yes, Washington has some high-end talent, don't get me wrong. Herb and Dylan, very good players. But the depth just falls off. I mean, they had how many guys with over 90 points? Like 5 guys. And no offense to Kessel and Olympio, but it's just they can't keep up. And that's what I'm saying. This is one of the weaker Washington/Colorado teams we've seen in the last few seasons. You know, it's just not the same. You have the Beater, like I mentioned earlier. Stanks can go in net. TJ 80 can go in net as well. Some decent stats for the goaltending, but I don't think it'll really matter. Namphy's going to be a anchor back on the blue line. Stangs will give you some good production. Olympia will give you some good production. And you have a couple of top guys, but it just doesn't match up well. It's a tough draw for Washington in the first round. I think they could have matched up a little bit better against anyone else, to be honest, because Boston is such a buzzsaw that they'll really take it down. Ottawa would have been another tough draw, but I think Detroit might have been a decent draw for Washington. But even then, it's just any one of those three teams, any one of those big three Atlantic teams would have probably destroyed them. So I have Boston in 5. I think the Caps might steal a game, like maybe a 2-1 overtime win. But other than that, I think there's going to be a lot of like 7-2 Boston wins or 6-0 or stuff like that. You're going to see a lot of lopsided scores, and no disrespect to Washington, but it's just more so credit to Boston, just how good they are. I think they're going to go on a deep run, like I mentioned earlier. So that's what I'm thinking for that series. I apologize to Washington. They almost didn't even make the playoffs because if you look down here, Washington, 4th place in the Metro, 67. Toronto, they were only 5 points out. So if Toronto picks up a couple more wins here or there, you're talking about another Boston versus Toronto first-round matchup, which I would have loved because Toronto always, for some reason, they always play Boston really well. Let's not forget, in Season 5, Toronto did pull off the upset, so anything is possible. So, I do think Boston takes this in 5, all right? So, moving on to my favorite series of the first round out of all 8, Ottawa versus Detroit, all right? So, give me 1 second. All right. So, I get a drink of water because this is going to be a good one. So, looking at these two teams, man, it's going to be such a fun series to watch. So, in the regular season, Detroit took 2 or 3 from Ottawa, which is a pretty big feat because Ottawa didn't lose that much. They're only 48-11-4, so they only had 11 losses, and 2 of them came to Detroit, and the Wings were 46-13-4. So they were right there. They only finished a couple wins behind Ottawa, and they could have flipped home ice here. But Ottawa does have home ice in this series. They are the 2nd seed. Goals for per game for the Sens, 5.29, and only 3.16 goals against. Now, for the Wings, 5.08 and 3.13 goals against per game. So, you see it's very, very even. Ottawa has a slight edge in goals for. Detroit has a slight edge in goals against. Overall, the Senators have a plus 134 goal differential, and the Red Wings have plus 123. So, really not too much of a variance there. Looking at the player leaders here, cutting corners, the first overall pick in the previous draft, absolutely went berserk. 65 goals, 103 assists for 168 points this season. Absolutely unreal. Muggy Bobcat, very well-known name. He played excellent on the blue line there with the Senators. They have a really good, that French Mafia, baby, on the blue line in Ottawa. Muggy, Weiss, and GB locking it down back there. And really a really good story to follow this season. Outlaw in net put up some really, really good numbers. 8.26 save percentage and a 2.54 goals against. Expect to see him in Vezina conversations as well. An absolutely outstanding season from Outlaw. Now, looking at the Red Wings, Booch, once again, leading the team in points. 55 goals, 65 assists for 120 points. Pastor, one of their top defensemen, 76.25 defensive rating. And none other than Big Cheese in the net, .809 save percentage and a 2.79 goals against. Expect him to also be in Vezina conversation. So if you look at the goalies, you're not going to get two almost even goalies here. You know, even looking back to the Boston, like with Kochekov, these guys, Kochekov, Outlaw, Big Cheese, expect them to be the front runners for the Vezina. Also, don't count out Sleighs, by the way, in Winnipeg. We'll get to him in a little bit later on in the program. So these are the teams on paper. I think it's very even. Some people might disagree. Some people will probably think Ottawa's going to win this in a landslide. I do not think it'll be that easy. I think this series probably goes 7, and I'll give you my prediction at the end of the segment here. So we're going to look at the Senators first. Look at the point totals here. Muggy, this dude is unreal. He plays such good defense. He plays really good offense. 112 points, 48 games played. A lot of these games are on defense as well. So when he's on forward, he's the most versatile player in the league. When he's on forward, he's just lighting it up. You have Pasternak, with 97 points. Tower 81. GB with 53 points. Weiss with 51. That's what I'm saying, man. These guys, these Frenchies on the blue line, man, they know how to play. Shelfie with 51 points. LJ Mooney 48 points in only 12 games. Kucherov 33 points, but I believe he got traded midseason. Let's see his actual totals. He had 94 points in 33 games. So, yeah, these guys are loaded, man. It's going to be a real good series. And then in the net, it's just, it's going to be Outlaw. Rip got banned. So, yeah, Outlaw is going to be rocking and rolling for the Senators in net. So, again, a team that reminds me a lot of Boston, where you have a lot of top line players and cutting corners, Muggy, Pasternak, all these guys. But then the depth is also there. These guys can play really good defense, I think, which is the key to them winning the series, is keeping the puck out of the net, right? Defense wins championships is that old cliche. But let's see their opponents, the Red Wings. These guys are no slouches themselves. They have 3 100-point players. Booch with 120, Presti 109, and Gringo with 100 points. So you want to talk about top-line players, you're looking at 3 of the best. And then right behind them, Alex Skies at 89 points. Vernon Wolves, this guy I do not know. This is a new addition before I was on the Red Wings. 86 points in 26 games. I think he was probably drafted, I'm guessing. I'm not too sure. But really good season out of him. And then my old Lineys, Deaky and Snake, 52 and 51 points apiece. Really good to see. My boy Sink, 42 points on the blue line. Excellent. Foams, 39 points. Pastor, 35 points. Pulp, so these are the 4 of the really good defensemen right here. And then some of their depth down here as well. And then in the net, of course, Big Cheese, 33, 8-1, 4 shutouts for him. So this series is going to be very, very close, I think. People will see the top point numbers for Cotton and all Muggy and oh my God, but I'm telling you, man, these Red Wings, I know, trust me, I know from experience, these guys are going to come to play. So my prediction for this series, again, I think it's going to be super, super close. I think this series goes the distance. I think people will be tuned in every night to watch these games because it's going to be that good. I think the Senators do win in 7. I think because of the everyone can play in a game 7, it'll be very close. It might even be like an overtime game. It really can go either way. I just think Ottawa will just edge out the Wings in 7, but it will be damn close. I'll tell you that much. This is going to be such a good series. I cannot wait to watch how it unfolds. The key for Detroit to win is do it in 6 or less, right? But I don't think I think Ottawa's too good to get it done in 4. Definitely not 4, but certainly probably not 5 either. But if you want to win, you got to close it out Thursday night. If it gets to Friday, I think the chances of Detroit winning go down a lot. Not impossible, but it's certainly a lot. I do like Ottawa in a winner-take-all game 7, but Detroit can certainly keep it close. So yeah, don't expect this series to end until late Thursday or Friday night. All right. So there's Ottawa versus Detroit. Moving on now, we go to the Metro side, and one of the bigger surprises this season, the Pittsburgh Penguins, not only making the playoffs, I know they made the playoffs the last couple of years, but they were lower seeds. But they won their division. In a division that carries teams like Carolina, Philadelphia, Washington, Pittsburgh comes out on top. So very surprising, good for them. I know they know well. They are well aware of how much I've bashed them, and I am not going to be bashing them in this video. I'll be singing them praises. Actually, very good team. They got some good guys over there. Really enjoy playing with them, or playing against them out there. Really good team, and I'm glad to see Snow. Both Snows have this is a season 5 expansion team, and it took a couple of seasons. They were no offense to them, but they were pretty freaking bad. it is nice to see them get 40 wins in a season and win a division. You know what I mean? So good for them. I truly am happy for these guys. I applaud them for really sticking it out and building a really good. They made some really good trades. And I'll go through some of them. The best trade I think they made was the Cooper trade. Such a completely revolutionizes their offense. And then we have and they're taking on expansion Montreal, who finished fourth in the Atlantic. They are the first wild card, so they get Pittsburgh in round one. And J-Mo made a lot of trades too in and around the draft. Brought back a lot of guys from the old LA Kings that won the Cup in season 6. Didn't do quite as well as they did, as they only lost like 3 or 4 games that last year. But still, making the playoffs as an expansion team is not easy. You can ask their compadres in the expansion draft over in Buffalo, and they'll tell you they did not make the playoffs. It's a lot tougher. So, looking at these teams on paper, again, Pittsburgh won 41 games, 16-6. Montreal 32-26-5. So pretty much right around 500 for the Canadians. Actually, I don't know. I'm not gonna do math right now. Goals for per game, Pittsburgh at 3.97 and a 3.49 goals against. They were plus 30 overall in the regular season for goal differential. And for the Habs, they score a lot. They're at 4.78 goals for per game, but man, they give up a lot of goals too. It's high octane over there in Montreal. They give up 4.21 goals against. They're at a plus 36 goal differential this season. For the Penguins, Snow, not the owner Snow, but GM Snow, he led the way for the Penguins. 44 goals, 57 assists for 101 points. Sasquatch, 33. They're one of their top defensemen on the blue line, 79 defensive rating. And for the win, Whispering / E-Dubs, really good season from him. 801 save percentage and a 3.19 goals against. Unfortunately, he probably won't really be in the Vezina talks. However, he gave the Penguins a really good chance to be in this position. When you're giving your team over an 800 save percentage and right around 3 goals against, it's serviceable goaltending. And so I tip my cap to him. A really good season out of him. Now, looking at the Canadians, J-Mo's boy, Pre-Cut Club, he got 76 goals, 83 assists for 159 points. I think he was second in the league in points this season, so really good, only behind Cutting Corners. Tender, 37, another guy from last year's LA on the blue line, 72.94 defensive rating. And Dark Times, look at that. All these guys for Montreal, former Kings from season 6, in net. 790 save percentage and a 448 goals against. So definitely outplayed Dark Times did E-Dubs. So on paper, it's tough because obviously Montreal scores pretty much almost just under a goal more per game than Pittsburgh, but man, they give up a lot of goals too. So it's pretty even. Let's take a look at their rosters, right? So we'll get back. Let's look at Pittsburgh first. So we go down here, look at points. So Snow with 101 points, T-Post Logie 72 points, C-Mac 59 points, Snow KD 56 points, Cooper 55 points in 21 games. However, I don't. Let's see. No, he played all. He did not play a game for Utah. Okay, so yeah, I think Cooper really was a really good acquisition for Pittsburgh. Doesn't have like 100 million points, but 55 points in 21 games is really good. No Blood. I don't think No Blood's on this team anymore. Oh, no, he is. Okay, No Blood on here. 34 points in 9 games, but overall his season, he had 88 points in 30 games. So, again, you're going to get a lot of points for Pittsburgh as well. Again, good savvy moves by the Snows here. Just Miles, Sasquatch, these guys, in and around, and another trade acquisition for the Pens. So just picking up good players left and right. And, of course, E-Dubs in the net. He had 2 shutouts this year, which is really good. So, yeah, you see what you're going to get with the Penguins. A couple of top-line guys, but some solid depth up and down the lineup here. So, you get Snow, No Blood. So they can definitely score. But we go to Montreal, right? Let's see where the Habs are at. because we know, like, these guys, they can score too. Precut Club, Verkov, and JMO, all 100-point players. Royal Knight, 74 points. Dorito, 66 points. So Montreal definitely has the, like, high-end talent. I kind of think of it between high-end talent versus depth, right? Now, Montreal has the high-end talent, no doubt. Pittsburgh does slightly. You have No Blood and Snow can, they're high-end players. But if we look here, after the top 5 players, it just falls off a cliff for Montreal. No disrespect, but if you think back to Pittsburgh, they had a bunch of 50, 60-point guys up and down here. The top 7 or 8 players all had 50-plus points, right? After Dorito, I know these guys are defensemen, but still, where's the depth? So I think Pittsburgh's strategy should be, in this series, it cannot go to 7 games, first of all, because you look at these guys at the top of the lineup, yikes. But the thing is that if you can steal a game or two here or there against, like, if you're playing against this line, right? If you can steal a game, you are now in the driver's seat, because now once the lines switch, and then your second line is going against their second line, you have the huge advantage, and that's how you have to think about it, and that's how you have to avoid the Game 7, because I don't think Pittsburgh can win a Game 7. So my prediction for this series is going to be Pittsburgh in 6. I do think the Penguins win this series. Montreal will keep it close. In terms of the series, like, you might see like a blowout in one game. Like, they'll explode for 8 or 9 goals, and Pittsburgh will get run out of building, but they'll bounce back. It's even if you lose 2-1 in overtime or 9-0, it all counts the same as one loss. So I think Pittsburgh will weather the storm. They'll win. They'll steal a game. E-Dubs can certainly steal you a game against these top players. And Pittsburgh has the depth, and I think they can beat Montreal, and they can move on to the second round. That is right, Pittsburgh. You heard that right. I think you are going to move on to the second round. That is correct. All right, let me grab a drink. All right. Talking a lot. So finally, the last series in the East, we have Carolina taking on Philadelphia, all right? This should be a really interesting series as well. Philly, notorious for kind of phoning it in the regular season. We'll see in the playoffs, And Carolina, they give these guys credit. They had a really bad season last season. I don't even know if they made the playoffs. I don't think they did. But they come back now. They're second. They moved from Hartford, which is in the Atlantic, now to the Metro, and they find themselves second in the division, so really good bounce back for them. So the Hurricanes went 33-20-10. Philadelphia went 33-26-4. So those overtime losses helped out the Hurricanes, pushed them ahead of Philly. For Carolina, they had 3.81 goals for per game and a 3.2 goals against. Philly with 3.8 goals for and a 3.74 goals against. So Carolina was plus 33 goal differential this season, and Philly was only plus 3. So Carolina does have the slight advantage when it comes to the team offense and defense, but not by much. Looking at the player leaders in the regular season, Rokia had a really nice season, 38 goals, 67 assists for 105 points, so really nice to see that. Knack, here you go, Knack. Here's your shout-out in the video, and I'll be talking about you more in a little bit. Knack on the blue line for Carolina, 75.5 defensive rating. Good for you, buddy. And then Reed in the net. Carolina has a trio, I think, of goalies. I know JT Diesel's in there, but I picked Reed. He played the latest games this past week. 8.25 save percentage and a 3.28 goals against. So Carolina has a nice crop of goalies they can use if someone's out for whatever reason. So that'll be good for them. And then for Philly, Silky Aim, 47 goals, 60 assists for 107 points for him. Darth Deemer, 75.45 defensive rating, and Pitt Pitcher in the net. .825 save percentage, and a .334 goals against. These again the goalies, man, really solid numbers. I don't know if Reed has the games played. I think he has. I don't think he has that many. But pitcher, he does, and a dark horse Vezina candidate as well. A lot of good goalies this season. It's hard to take over the bigger names like Kochetkov and Cheese and even Outlaw. But pitcher should be proud of himself. He had a really nice season, and he had a really good Two Nations as well that we had a few weeks ago. So we'll take a look now at the player stats. So we'll start in Carolina. Just by the points. So again, Rukia, 105 points, really good season again from him. Potatoes, 67 points. The great Haxby, 63 points. There's Knack again. Really, I'm telling you, man. I think Knack. I was looking at his numbers yesterday. Once we were looking at, we had started this discussion of awards and all that, and so I was just looking at it myself, and I'm telling you, I think Knack has like an actual chance at like Norris. I don't know if he'll win, but he can certainly be a finalist. The 59 points, 44 games. A really good splits with the giveaways, takeaways, interceptions, all that stuff. So, again, nice season from Knack. Christopher, 56 points. Daddy Joe Ferg, 48. Irrepressible, 45. So, decent depth for Carolina. Again, and I go back to Montreal for just a second. Like, right after here, like, fell off to, like, 30. And so, that's why I don't think they're going to win. But Carolina, you see some good depth up and down the lineup here. And then here, your trio of goal. Actually, I don't even know. I think Apollo might have gotten traded to Anaheim. Yeah, he did get traded to Anaheim. Yeah, so he's not on here. But JT Diesel and Reed, I believe are still here. Did JT Diesel? Yeah, he's still here. And then Hogger, is he still here? 8-0-4. Oh, he got traded from Calgary to Carolina, so he's there as well. So yeah, they have these three goalies. Their numbers are pretty good. 2.89, 3.28, 2.5. Like the goals against numbers are really solid. So that's why I was saying a few minutes ago, Carolina has a nice crop of goalies. So if any one of them goes out, they can bring in another of these three. So look for that. That's something to watch. So yeah, again, not a ton of top of the lineup type of players, but you have solid depth in here, like 2 through 6, 2 through 7. You have really good depth here for the Canes. So now if you go to Philly, again, you see this in a lot of different in these series, right? You have one team that has good depth, your Pittsburghs, your Carolinas, and then you have your teams that have a lot of high quality top of the lineup players, but not the best depth. Your Montreals, your Philadelphias. And here you go. You have Silky with 107, Bowler Fett 106, Punisher 105. Really good line. Like, that is super, super good. And then you have Paul, 69 points, ICJD, 46 points, probably a defenseman, I'm going to guess. Monkey, Laser, Don Reg, all these guys. Solid depth and solid defensemen. And then in the net, you have Pitcher here. Again, he had a couple shutouts as well. Excuse me. So good season from him. He'll be definitely their starter in net. So I know, so back to the depth versus high end lineup players. So I know last series I did take Pittsburgh, and they were like the depth team, right? But in this series, I'm gonna change up the philosophy because I think Philly's actually gonna win this series. For a couple of reasons. First of all, I cannot let the meme continue of Canes in 6. Yeah, Canes in 6. No, I'm not doing that. But I also actually believe this. I find that this is gonna happen. I think these three guys, their top of the lineup players, will be able to sweep. Like if they play together, I think they'll go 3-0. And then as long as you have your Paul's line or the second line, if they can get one, they'll be golden because then those three can come back. Like your top line can come back for a potential Game 7, right? However, I don't think it'll get to Game 7. I think they win it in 6. So yeah, I will say the Flyers win it in 6. I apologize to Knack and the rest of the Hurricanes. Rukia, I'm sorry. But I do think the Flyers win this in 6 games. All right, so there's your East. If we go back to the bracket again, so just to recap my Eastern picks, Boston I think is gonna win. Ottawa, I think is gonna win. Pittsburgh is gonna win, I think, and Philly is gonna win. All right. So only one upset, the Flyers, but we'll see. I think Detroit has a decent chance. Montreal and Washington, I don't think is gonna win. So there you go. Oops. Clicking the wrong things. There we go. Okay, so now, excuse me. Let's switch our gears over to the West. All right. So, let me actually pull up the bracket again. So just so we're on the same page. So again, Chicago, Dallas, Winnipeg, Nashville, Anaheim, Colorado, and then Vancouver versus Seattle. So we are going to start with Chicago versus Dallas. All right. So Chicago, a bit of a surprise this season. I remember doing the opening week power rankings. I don't think I had them that high, but they really proved me wrong. And ever since then, they've been like top 5. They've been a really good team all season. They've been pretty consistent. So they'll be a fun watch in these playoffs. They beat Dallas all 3 games. They went 48-13-2. Dallas was 22-33-7. Chicago won their division, and Dallas finished 5th in the Central. They're the second wild card team. For Chicago, they scored 5.21 goals for per game and gave up 3.13 goals against per game. Dallas only scored 3.54 goals for per game and gave up 4.37 goals against. Excuse me. Goal differential, 2 opposite directions. Chicago plus 131, Dallas minus 52. Yikes. You hate to see that. And so for the player leaders, Scotty B, 96 goals. Holy fucking shit. 82 assists and 178 points. Oh my God. That's a crazy season, dude. In the NHL, that's a crazy season. For defenseman, Chucky, 75.74 defensive rating. And in the net, Rossler, an 808 save percentage and a 3.0 goals against. For Dallas, Canadian Trickster, 34 goals, 44 assists, and 78 points. J. Rip, 72.90 defensive rating for the Stars. And in the net, Pie Guy, 18, 787 save percentage, and a 4.23 goals against. All right. Oh, what happened? I didn't mean to do that if I clicked out of that. So we'll start with the Blackhawks. Again, an absurd season from Scotty B. Oh, my God. And then OB, 143 points. Stu, 137. So, I mean, these guys just absolutely popped off this season. Driz, 80 points. CGO, 59. He had 73 points in 25 games. Savnikov, 66 points. Dome Beers, 42. So, man, really good seasons from the Blackhawks. And again, Rossler in net, 21, 8-1, 3.0 goals against, 808, and a shutout in there for him as well. So really nice to see this team. This was last year's Buffalo, and I believe they beat Detroit in round 1 last year. Because I remember they went on to play Boston. So good to see these guys bounce back again, have an even better season. I know Scotty B, I believe, was a first-round pick for them. I think 6th or 8th overall for them, if I'm not mistaken. I have to go back and check. But he will him and Cutting Corners will be close for Rookie of the Year. But yeah, I forgot he had 178 points. Just absurd. But again, you see 3 top-of-the-lineup players here once again. And for Dallas, I mean, it's bleak, man. Like, they went 20. There were 11 games under 500 here, and even more if you count the overtime losses. Almost 20 games if you count overtime losses. And like, I can't even say they have a lot of depth because they don't. They traded Contrix away, so you can't even count him. Trickster, Gambler, who'd they get? I think Death Shark came from Anaheim, maybe. Yeah, he did. So they got some defense there, but like, there's no huge like top of the lineup players here, and that's fine. Like, you don't have to have, not every team's gonna have a 100-point player, but there's also like not you have two guys over 50 points. Like, ugh. So it's tough, man. I think Dallas might get swept. I don't even know if they're gonna win the game. My prediction is gonna be Chicago in 4. Actually, I think Chicago sweeps them. I don't know how Dallas, and I mean no disrespect to Trickster or any of the Dallas guys, J Rip. I do not know how they can win a game. Like, looking at these stats, they didn't win them. They didn't beat Chicago in the regular season. I have no idea what's gonna happen. I think they might get blown out every single game. That top line is so filthy, and even when they don't play it, so if Dallas goes 0-3 Wednesday night, those top 3 guys play, and they get 20 points each, and then they have to play Thursday, and so Dallas's top guys probably can't play either. So like, it's a tough scene, man. I was surprised because LA on the final night of the season, they needed to win like one game, and they couldn't. I think they would have had the tiebreaker. If they would have gotten 2 more points, they would have had the tiebreaker and they would have been in. But I think they went 0-3, and so they're out. So that's why you see 5 Central teams in, So it's tough scene for them, for LA, and Dallas a tough draw for them. But I think they get swept. Yeah, it's just unfortunate, but they've lost. They're coming in lost 5 in a row. So, and Chicago's won 10 in a row. So again, teams, and you saw in the comparisons, teams just in opposite directions. So, I think this one's probably going to be quick for the Stars. All right, and Chicago I think is going to move on, obviously. So moving on, we have Winnipeg versus Nashville. All right, so this is the second and third seed in the Central. Okay, so in the regular season, Nashville won one of the games in overtime. Winnipeg was 2-0-1 against Nashville. Overall, regular season, Winnipeg was 42-16-5. The Predators went 35-18-1. So again, another good season for an expansion team for Nashville, finishing third in a real tough division, getting 35 wins. Solid. D-Turp and Jalen should be pretty happy with themselves putting this team together, having that kind of good season. But Winnipeg, man, they are a solid team, man. 4.92 goals for per game, giving up 3.44 against. So I think the goals against are a little high. You probably want to see that a tick down. You'd probably try to get that to the lower 3s if you could. But they have a plus 93 goal differential. For Nashville, they give up a lot of goals. They don't score that much. 3.7 goals for per game and a 4.38 goals against per game. They have a minus 43 goal differential. For the Jets, Limitless had a really nice season. 72 goals, 64 assists for 136 points. Schaefer 48 for the Jets defense, 79.63 defensive rating. And I mentioned him earlier, but Slays, by the way, I think this guy has a decent chance at a Vezina. 8.21 save percentage and a 3.12 goals against. He's the last couple seasons, this guy's really put himself on the map. He's a really good goalie. He gives Winnipeg a chance to win every time he plays. For the Predators, Snipes 27, 23 goals, 48 assists for 71 points. Tristy on defense, 78.40 defensive rating. And Golden Aces, 792 save percentage and a 3.48 goals against. I know D-Turp will also be in and around the net as well for the Preds. So we'll take a look at their team roster and their stats. Man, so again, I keep saying it, but you have another team here, a couple of top-line players. Fogg also, I would put him there as well. And Rep Bro, like these guys, man. And Martins, like, this is probably a down year for Martins. 66 points. Like, if we go back last season, season 6, but he also he spent the first half of the year in the AHL. So he had 47 points in 20 games. But then the AHL, brother had like 200 points. And that might have been, maybe not. Maybe I'm just forgetting things. I know he definitely had like a ton of points, but regardless, Martins is a really good player. Like just these 5 dudes are just gross. Like this franchise, like the previous Vegas and now Winnipeg, they've always had like a good crop of forwards for whatever reason. If you go back to like season 4 and 5, Vegas, you had Alex Skies. Who the hell else was on that line? It was Skies, and the 2 guys on Vancouver now that I gotta fucking play. What the fuck are their names? OP Ninja, and then the other guy. It's gonna piss me off. Hang on. Who the fuck was his name? OP Ninja and I don't remember what the other guy's name is. Oh, Tavi. They're a dumbass. OP Ninja, Tavi, and Alex Skies. That line in Vegas was always really good. And now they get traded. Everyone kind of moves on. But then they, like, bounce back, and they get, like, these 5. Like, Martin's, I think, centers with Limitless on his left. And Limitless, and then Temp is on his right, I believe. Also, can you mention the fact that 123 points in 32 games is just fucking crazy? And same with, like, 136 and 38. Like, just nuts, man. So, the Jets have their top-of-the-line players, but also some solid depth. Like, Martin's, like, I wouldn't call him depth, but, like, Kush, 63 points, and then it kind of falls off. You have your defenseman down here. And then, and Slay's in net. He had a shutout as well, 27, 11, and 3. Like, this, it's a shame because I think Chicago is going to sweep, and I think Winnipeg is going to win. And then they got to play each other, but it's just how it goes. For Nashville, Snipes and Swish, 71 points apiece. No Blood is on Pittsburgh. Jalen, 46 points. Mata, I don't think is on this team. No, he is. Oh, he is. Okay, I thought he got traded. He got traded to Nashville. Tristy on the blue line there. Virtue, 89. So, again, it's the same type of thing. Not much high top-of-the-line players here. Like, and not really like a ton of depth either. Only 2 guys above 50 points. And, so again, I think Winnipeg probably, well, let's say, hang on. D-Turp, 5-9-1. Oof, man, tough stats for him. 5.27 goals against, 7.18 goals, save percentage. So, like, Nashville, man, I don't even know how they were, like, that good. Like, no offense to them, but, like, they had 35 wins with this team, man. They must have really grinded out some wins here. Good for them. But I think Winnipeg, in like a best-of-7 series, I think Winnipeg takes control. They probably win in 5. They might, Nashville might, like, sneak out a win, like a 3-1 type of thing. But I don't think it really lasts that long. So I think Winnipeg will probably win this pretty handily, and they move to the second round. All right. Moving on, now we shift to the Pacific. Now, I have a lot to say about this, all right? So, I have been in the LMSHL almost for 2 years now, right? The league got established in, like, June of 2023 or something like that, and I joined in August. And so I came in Season 2. I was drafted in Season 2. And so I've been around, and I know a lot about the history of the league and all that stuff. I'm being dead fucking serious. I think Anaheim winning the division is probably the best storyline in league history. I am not making that up. I'm not glazing. I'm not even none of that. I genuinely think that Anaheim and just how they did it, and like the roller coaster of the last 10 days for Storm. Like, we went from thinking they were not going to be eligible for the playoffs to going on a 10-game fucking heater. I mean, I'll get into it in a minute, but holy shit. These guys, I think, won 12 out of 13 games to end the year. Absolutely unreal. On fire. Storm got all his guys eligible that he needed to. And all of a sudden, Vancouver can't win a game. Fucking Seattle can't win a fucking game, and Anaheim wins 2 of the 3 on Friday night. Seattle has 4 games. We don't fucking win any of them. Or we might have won 1. We beat Toronto 10-4. So we helped out Washington, and then we shit the bed against Nashville in the 4th game of the night. Fucking 7-6 or 6-5 loss, that high-scoring affair. And all we needed was like a 1 point, and we would have won the division. And instead we lose, and Anaheim finds themselves top of the division, and they get to face Colorado because Colorado sneaks their way in because LA fucking shit the bed too. Lost 3 in a row on Friday night. So, all just wild events. The Pacific Division sucks, right? And I see everyone in the management chats and players chats, oh, the Pacific's ass. You're right, but it is what it is. So, just huge shout out to Anaheim. I am very happy they made it. I would love, for the vibes, and this is not going to happen, but and people will probably roll their eyes at this, but a Pittsburgh versus Anaheim Cup final would be a real good, feel-good type of story, right? But that's not going to happen. Sorry, Pittsburgh, you're going to lose to Boston eventually. Or Philly. Anyway, great job to Anaheim. I just wanted to put that out there. I had mentioned, I was thinking about that last night after the emotions of the Kraken losing kind of wore off. Really good. Really happy for Anaheim. Storm has been through a lot. He took over such a shitty team and really turned them around. Another guy who made, just like Pittsburgh, made some good trades. And he really righted the ship there. So glad they are, if I couldn't win, I'd rather Anaheim. No offense to Vancouver, but I'd rather Anaheim get in there, win the division, and now they get home ice, and they would have home ice in round 2 as well. So they have some good advantages here. So they go up against Colorado. First, look at these fucking records, man. 28, 29-6 for Anaheim, and then 25, 36-2 for Colorado. And they're the first wild card team. Like, Dallas was worse than that. So Colorado finds that Colorado has had some tough luck in terms of injuries, but people quitting and all that shit. But look at some of these fucking numbers, man. Both scoring at 3.86 goals for per game. Anaheim only giving up 4.52 goals against. Colorado giving up damn near 5 goals a game, 4.95. If you notice, there's only 2 teams in the West with a positive goal differential, and it's Chicago and Winnipeg. Anaheim's at minus 42. Colorado's at minus 69. Nice. I mean, this is just funny, man. Buckeyes led the Ducks in points, 20 goals, 44 assists for 64 points. Crazy Flame, 72.5 defensive rating, and Rexy, 777 save percentage and a 3.9 goals against. For Colorado, Dope Ducks is at 36 goals, 37 assists for 73 points. Viper, top defenseman, always is really good. 75.32 defensive rating. And Silly Kaiser, I believe, got called up later in the season, had a 791 save percentage and a 433 goals against. So we will switch to the rosters here just to take a look at this, man, because there's no 100-point players in this series, which is okay. Again, nothing wrong with that. Buckeyes, 64 points. Look at Storm, man. 63 points for him. DJ, 57 points. JD, 55 points. JD, one of my favorite players to watch in the Season 5 playoffs with Tampa Bay. Good for him. Applesauce for you, 50 points. XGone you, 49. All About Green. Former first overall pick from the Rangers way back when, 44 points. And here is the catalyst for it all. Contrix. So at the deadline, Anaheim decides to go out and acquire good old Contrix from Dallas. And in 10 games has 32 points. Really solid work from him. His season of work overall, 88 points, man. So he's definitely one of the better players in this series. I probably should have put him in the... I forgot. I'm just not realizing I should have put him in the graphic there. Whoops, sorry, Contrix. I'll get you next time if you win. But I want to take a look at their schedule, right? So they come in red hot. So trade deadline was this Wednesday. So they lost all 3 games at Wednesday night. and then they lost the first 2 games on Thursday. They lost this one in overtime to Dallas. That was actually, looking back, a huge game right here, by the way. And then they lose this game 11-8 to Chicago. Good God. And then they play the Rangers. They beat the Rangers, and then after, so they got 1, 2, 3, 4 games, 4 in a row, and then all of a sudden, 3, 6. So they have 8 of their 9 in here, and then if you go back another 4. So what's that? These 4, and then so they won 12 of their last 13 games. I mean, holy shit. I wish we could go back to the standings on Thursday night, like after the games Thursday night, like going into Friday, and look at the standings at that point. Like, oh my God, man, what a run. So really happy for Anaheim again that they were able to take the division as the division rival, saying this. And then we can look at Colorado. Dope Ducks, 73 points. Sports, 70 points. I think he played a couple games in net as well. Yes, he did. Kucherov got traded. Walter, 51 points. Fantilli got traded, I believe. I remember these guys from AHL Colorado. Uji Jessom, did he get traded, or is no, he's still there. Simp, 41 points. Bats might have gotten traded. No, he's there as well. Okay. So he had 44 points this season. Viper, here you go, 33 points. So I don't really know what to make of the Avalanche, just because they've had a lot of changes back and forth. But what I will say is that I don't think they're going to get swept. I think they can win at least 1 game. I think Anaheim takes the series. They probably take it in 6. But I don't know. I really, of all the series, right, this one I don't really know what to make of. A lot of unknowns, teams that probably didn't think they'd be here a week ago are now find themselves right where we are here. So I don't know, but I think Anaheim coming in red hot for whatever fucking reason, man. They really turned it on. They got guys back. They brought them back. But I think Anaheim's going to win in 6. All right. Now, the final series of the first round, my Seattle Kraken, baby. So I got lots to say, of course. This will be a while. Taking on the Vancouver Canucks, all right? So Seattle went 2-1 versus Vancouver this season, so they got the better of them. But they were close games. One of them coming last second goal was we won 2-1, but the second goal we scored was the last second pass. I passed to Page on a partial break, and he scored to grab the regulation win. And again, looking back on that moment, like there's so many, like this race was so wild that looking back on the Pacific race and specific moments in the games, like that goal from Page to win the game in regulation was massive. So it's crazy how it works, because I think if Vancouver would have gotten a point over time, shit looked a lot different, man. But regardless, what's done is done. So the Canucks went 30-32-1. Kraken went 28-30-5. Not great records. Vancouver 3.62 goals for per game, giving up 4 goals against. Kraken scoring a little higher, 3.81 goals for per game, but giving up slightly more goals against, 4.03. Vancouver minus 22 goal differential. Seattle minus 14. Crowboss dance. So here is an interesting story that people might not know. So I drafted Crowboss Dan in the 4th round of this past draft, and I traded him along with a first-round pick for JT Highscores, who I then traded to Nashville for a first to get Cam. That was a really good trade for Shiz and JCD because this guy led their team in points, and they got an extra first out of it too. So Vancouver, this is a really interesting series from their perspective, because if obviously they want to win, but also if they win, that first round pick from Seattle is even better, right? So it's just funny how that kind of works out like that. Top Coffee, 78.05 defensive rating. He's been a staple in our blue line for several seasons now. And Daenerys Mama in the net, she's got a 7.63 save percentage and a 4.10 goals against. Looking at the Kraken, yours truly, myself, 39 goals, 36 assists for 75 points. Specs, Mr. Utility lately for us, mainly defense and goal. But on defense, 73.94 defensive rating. And in the net, we've had a couple different goalies, but Carpy, 830 save percentage and a 338 goals against. All right. So let's get to the rosters. All right. So again, kind of like the other series in the Pacific, not a ton of, no like 100-point plus players, but that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. Crowbar Stan, 84 points. Eat Fresh, really nice season, 57 points. I know his defensive numbers are usually strong. Yeah. As a center, I would believe these are really interesting numbers defensively, looking at giveaways, takeaways, interceptions. Icon Class, 53 points. OP Ninja, 50 points. Tavi, 47 points. R. Bobby, 37 points. So, like, no, like, huge, like, point scores, but, like, some consistent production up and down the lineup here. But depth, could be better, I guess. And then in the net, you have Daenerys, like I mentioned earlier, and I do it also in the net, 3.7 goals against and an 804 save percentage, also with a shutout. So Vancouver has some solid goaltending as well, with Crowbar Stan leading the way for the Canucks. But for the Kraken, it's an interesting little story you got going on here. So myself, again, no 100-point players when I'm leading the team points. 75 points for me. Pootsie was 70. Grizz was 60 with a lot of those games on defense, I believe. I think he played a couple games at right wing. Let's see. Grizz, right D, right D, right. Couple right wing, couple wing games here. But mostly right D, couple other right wings in there. Yeah, so pretty impressive from Grizz. JT, I know I traded away. Cracky, 57 points. He popped off last night. Where his games Friday night, 7, 2, and 4. So he had good games there. Kevin Jamo, 53 points. Kai, 52 points. Page, 47. Youstra I acquired. He finished with almost 60 points. He had 59 points this season. So decent. I think our depth is a little bit better than Vancouver's. Just looking at the point totals and some of the defensemen. You have Kai, I've been kind of playing all over. He played center, but I've also had him at left D. Youstra is probably going to play mainly center, but he can also play D. Specs, I'm not sure I'm going to do with yet. Carpy, I'm not really sure I'm going to do with yet. Random Gamer, he can play in it as well. We have Baked down here as well, really good defenseman. So I'm not too sure. You have Stroh, who I will probably play as a skater, not really in net. I have enough goalies as it is. So I think this will be a pretty balanced series. Pretty familiar with each other, being in the same division the last couple years. I know they last season Vancouver lost to Edmonton in Game 7 in the first round. We swept Calgary in 4 games last season, and then we lost to Edmonton in 7 in the second round as well. Heartbreaking. But it is what it is. It's a new season, and I think Seattle is going to win it. Probably in 5 or 6. I'll say 6 games. I don't think this goes 7, but even if it does, I like the Kraken's chances. So yeah, I think I like the depth a little bit better. We have a lot of forwards that can score. Myself, Cracky, Poots. We can all put the puck in the net. Kevin Jamo is really good as well. Page. All these guys, I think we can really unlock something in the playoffs, and we can go on a nice little run here. So that's I know this is a long video, over an hour I've been recording and talking. I'm getting tired. It's 1:30 in the morning, but we'll again look at the bracket one more time before I close it out. So again, in the West, I have Chicago sweeping, Winnipeg probably in 5, Anaheim probably in 6, and Seattle I think is going to win in 6, all right? So that would mean in the second round, based on my predictions, I would have Boston taking on Ottawa, Pittsburgh taking on Philly, Chicago taking on Winnipeg. That'd be a hell of a series. And then Anaheim taking on Seattle. So from there, I'll just go through the rest of my picks to see how wrong I am in a couple weeks here. So between Boston and Ottawa, I would take Boston. Between Pittsburgh and Philly, I would take Philly. Chicago, Winnipeg. This is a tough one. I would take probably. I would take Chicago in like 7. It's close, though. That could go either way. And then Anaheim, Seattle. I would take Seattle in like 6 or 7. And then in the conference finals, you have Boston versus Philly. I would take Boston. And then the conference finals, you have Chicago versus Seattle. It's an interesting series. I don't want to be a homer, but we did beat Chicago at least once this season, I do remember. But I'd say Chicago would win. And then you have a Chicago-Boston final, and I think Boston wins the cup this season. All right, so there are my full predictions, but we'll see if they're actually right. I could change it. Like, that could, all this stuff could happen, and I might change it. Like, I'm not going to change the prediction now, but in the future, like, depending on how teams play, I can look at the stats. I might pick different winners. So we'll see. So, again, thank you all for all the appreciation for these videos. I'm going to try to keep up with them as much as I can. The next time I will be posting most likely will be probably next weekend at some point for the recap video. I won't really do anything during the week. I won't be posting anything during the week. I don't know when this will get posted. Maybe it's Sunday morning. I guess it's 1:31 in the morning. I'll probably post this. I'll probably go to bed and then post it when I wake up in the morning, so that way we can have a couple days to watch and people can chat. So, yeah, again, thanks for watching. If you have any suggestions about how these videos can be better, you can let me know. I think the format is probably good enough. People can listen to the whole hour and 6-minute video if they want, or if you just want to listen to your series, you can do that for 8 or 9 minutes as well. All right, so again, thanks, everybody. I will talk to you later.